that even though meditation can't do it, especially because it's a duty, that when we're here with you, it's easy to meditate. Meditation, he's sitting here, his eyes are closed. I'm sitting here, my eyes are closed. And so it's easy to enter into a meditative state. So I find this quite strange. And then it makes it seem that this meditation, the meditative state, has some value. It makes it seem that way. Because everyone loves the peace. Everyone loves this. That quietness. So that to me is a strange phenomenon. Even though meditation can be a hindrance. I was with some people in the summer, and very powerful master they were with, and they've been with him for many, many years. And in his presence, meditation happens very easily. People lose their thoughts and all that, without making any effort. And I could see what you were saying. And so at the end of the 2 hours, his being in his presence is finished. It lingers on, the effect of it, but yet it's, we'll have to meditate again, and we'll have to meditate again, and we'll have to meditate more. And if we feel that, and this has been going on for 35 years. And it made me think of what you say, how we build up this energy field through meditation, and as long as we're in that energy field, everything is fine, nothing can touch us. But then when we leave, when there's the leaving the presence of the master and his presence, then the mind comes back, and then the desire to get back to that state happens again. So I thought of you many times when I was and seeing this is exactly what you're talking about. But here, meditation is easy. So it seems like it has value. And I want to ask you a question about that. It seems that when the mind is quiet, that there's more receptivity to what you're saying. That when you give your teachings in a quiet mind, I understand what he's saying now. But if the mind is very, very noisy, it doesn't seem to, unless it's a shock for a person, it doesn't seem that it has that same type of receptivity to what you're saying. So in that way, I'm wondering if having that quietness can be of some value, because it seems to create more receptivity, because the mind isn't so talkative, let's say.
But here, whether we are having a quiet mind or noisy mind, if it is happened naturally, it doesn't matter. Either way, if you are creating like this, that alone is the problem. So if instead of a noisy mind, if you are creating a quiet mind, comparing with the noisy mind, we think the quiet mind is good.
Yes.
But actually, the noisy mind alone is good. Because it is the natural mind. Right. So what is natural is correct.
Is correct.
But whenever we may create a noble thing, we may create a pleasurable thing, but it is not good.
Right.
So what is natural, that alone is good.
So if it just happens without effort?
Without any effort.
Without any effort. Then no matter what it is, it can be noisy, doesn't matter, or it can be very quiet.
If meditation happens without any effort, doesn't matter. But if you do it with the effort, we are creating something unnatural.
Yeah. I also, since you're here now, I've been starting to go through the book again, this book.
Okay. Yes, various aspects it will cover. It will, because many type of questions they will put.
Many types of questions, yes.
So many type of answer will be also there.
Well, I thought, I'll read it again now, because I read it last year. But I thought, since you're here, I can read it and then see if any questions come while you're here, so I can ask you the direct questions. There was one here where you're talking about the obstinacy. So I think my understanding is correct. By obstinacy, you mean the refusal of the intellect to give up, its attempt to understand, or its attempt for freedom, Is that what you mean? That the attempt of the intellect to keep control? Is that what you mean by the obstinacy when you talk about obstinacy?
What is the meaning of obstinacy?
Stubborn, holding. Obstinacy means holding to a point.
Holding a point.
Holding a point.
So adamant, with some adamant nature.
Yeah.
That is obstinacy.
Yeah.
So obstinacy means when we want, because when obstinacy is artificial, it is not natural. So when we are in obstinacy, we are doing something on our own interest. It is not natural.
Right, okay.
So that is the problem.
That's the problem.
So it is not natural. But in the external world is concerned, you can use obstinacy.
Right.
But if it is psychological, we have to go along with the happening. We should not select anything.
But can it happen unconsciously?
Oh, let it, whatever happens in the psychological world, whether happening consciously or unconsciously, we have to take it as unconscious happening.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily a matter of doing something. It doesn't necessarily, this stubbornness doesn't necessarily means you are doing it and I need to stop it, because sometimes it happens just unconsciously. You don't even know where that you are stubborn.
So what happens in the psychological world, because because of some work, something may happen. Mm-hmm. So whatever happens, we have to take it, whether you are doing it consciously, as a whole, we have to take it as unconscious happening. Even though you are trying to control yourself, shape yourself, the very trying to shape yourself, we can be treated as unconscious. But in the first step, we may, according to our understanding, we need not work psychologically. But in spite of our understanding, if you find ourselves doing something, creating some struggle, creating some effort, so we have to treat it as an unconscious happening. Even though it looks like conscious happening, conscious doing, we have to treat it as an unconscious happening. Psychological world is concerned.
So related to that question, sometimes it's very difficult to identify which is happening in a conscious mind, which is not happening in an unconscious mind. For example, regarding work, we tend to plan. So we sit in the office and we tend to plan. That is one category. Another one is we are in a bathroom taking a shower. Immediately that thought comes regarding the planning for the day. So these two are two different things, right? One is we sit on a table, take a paper and we put it on a plan and working out. Another one is we just on a shower, our purpose is take a shower. But all of a sudden this thought comes into the mind. So
here, you may have so many thoughts or plans. It may be related to for all, whether you are not sitting for planning, you are having only a shower, but in that time also some thought may be coming to deal with the situation, right, to deal with some of your schedule or anything. So it is purely related to the external world. So whatever comes with related to the external world, whether it is happening unconsciously or consciously, we have to treat it as a conscious doing, conscious work. Whether it happens conscious or unconscious. If it is related to the external world, related to the external work, we have to treat it as a conscious work, conscious happening. But if it is related to the psychological world, for example, you may be having some good feeling, you should not have any bad feeling like this. Whether in that case, so the aim is to regulate yourself psychologically. So if the aim is to regulate yourself psychologically, some effort comes consciously or unconsciously with related to shape yourself psychologically. So the total thing must be treated as the unconscious happening, whether you are doing it consciously or unconsciously. We have to take it as a unconscious happening, because psychological world is concerned, whatever happens is a unconscious happening. Because we have some understanding. In spite of our understanding, we are doing some work in the psychological world to shape our psychological emotions or other thing. So here, our effort came without against the understanding. Because we understood that no work in the psychological world. In spite of our understanding, we do something. So even though you do it consciously or unconsciously, we have to treat it as an unconscious happening, unconscious work. But the matter is whether it is related to the external work or it is related to the psychological work. If it is related to the psychological work, whatever happens, we have to take it as an unconscious happening.
But when we do something consciously on the external world, it will bring some feelings to the inner mind, right? Or inner feelings, right? It will bring to that. So even that case, even when we do conscious work outside, which brings some feelings to the inner mind, that also we need to take care, like it's happening unconsciously.
So here our aim is to, for example, you have some problem in your business or anything, and thereby you have some tension. Because of the reaction to the situation, you have some tension. So with the help of the tension alone, you can deal with something in the external world. So you can make up your tension. If you are, so whatever emotion you have, you can make use of the emotion to deal with the situation. But at the same time, you should not induce yourself to be without any tension. So keeping yourself without any tension is a psychological work. But at the same time, using the tension to execute the external work is a different work. So that is justified. If it is related to the external world, it is justified. So if you are trying to keep yourself without any tension, because we have understood that no work is necessary in the psychological world. So in spite of our understanding, if you are trying to do something against ourselves, so even though we are thinking that it is a conscious work, conscious struggle, we have to treat it as also unconscious happening. Because in no way you should not feel yourself responsible for any wrong committed in the psychological world. We should not keep ourselves without any wrong. Whether you do it correctly or incorrectly, we should not hold yourself as a person, a wrongdoer. You should not keep yourself, you should not take yourself as a wrongdoer. So whether you may do something foolishly, because we have understood properly that no work is necessary in the psychological world. So in spite of that, whenever we have some sorrow or fear, naturally we want to be free from that. So it is a struggle within our soul. So even though struggle happens, we need not worry about that. So whatever happens in the psychological world, the beginning and the end is only psychological. There is no necessary to hold ourselves to be responsible. But in the external world is concerned, whether you have any program, plan or anything consciously or unconsciously, you have to take it as a conscious work. Then it is a doing. But whatever happens in the psychological world, we have to take it as a happening. It is not a doing. Even though it looks like a doing, we have to treat it as a happening.
Both consciously and unconsciously.
Whether consciously or unconsciously. But the end must be towards, whether the end is towards the psychological world or the external world. So if the end is towards the external world, whether you do it consciously or unconsciously, we have to treat it as if we have done it consciously. But if it is towards the psychological world, even though you are doing it consciously, we have to treat it as an unconscious happening. So that is the difference between the psychological world and the physical world.
So when we read the book or when we talk with the Guruji, this alert is with us, but once we read the book, probably it stays with us for an half day or full day. But the next day, when we get into this kind of normal circumstances, right, we don't get this alert. In the sense like when something happens internally, again our mind backs to the old stage or original stage, which tend to feel like, okay, it's my problem, I did it. Again, it goes to, I would call it as a normal stage, but it keeps the book it says that it's not a normal state, it's
So whatever comes, it must be a natural one. Whether some good feel emotion came, or some bad emotion came, or some tension may came, but it doesn't matter. Everything is natural. So it must be stamped as natural. It should not be a created one. It must be a natural. That alone is the test. Psychological world is concerned, everything must be natural. So we have to treat it. Whether your part may be there, even though you have some part in that, the happening of some emotion, even though you have to take it as an unconscious happening. So the main thing is that you should not be blamed for anything happening in our psychological world.
But how to keep the alert? The alert is there for a while. Since we are talking now, we are with you. The alert is there. And when we read the book, that time also we are with you through the book. Right? So that alert is there. Suppose if we haven't taken the book for 3 days or 4 days, again we tend to feel like, so how to maintain that alert?
So when you want to do a good thing alone, you have to be alert. So there is no good or bad. Then you need not be alert. Psychological world is concerned, you must be free, you need not be alert. But in the external world alone is concerned, you must be alert to do the correct thing, otherwise there will be many harm. But the psychological world is concerned, there is no harm. So need not be alert. Whatever happens is a correct thing. So good thing is a correct thing, bad thing is a correct thing, good emotion is a correct one, bad emotion is a correct one. Then why should we keep ourselves alert? It is unnecessary torturing ourselves. We need not torture ourselves.
So, because so many times you read, or they'll say, keep vigilant, be vigilant, be vigilant. And what you're saying is, no need for even that, because that becomes like an effort. No way. So there's no need to be vigilant. That's nice.
That is easier.
It's easy, relaxing. It's relaxing.